Good morning, everyone. Hope everyone is having a great week and enjoying the beautiful weather this morning. Um, Today, I rode my bike for over an hour outside of in Philadelphia along the Schuylkill River, which is one of the most beautiful rivers in the country. And I live right by the Rocky statue. I actually only live like a stone's throw away from the Rocky statue. I'm glad to see Philadelphia starting to get back to normal. And all of you who are listening, I hope you'll come and visit us in Philadelphia because nobody right now is visiting the Rocky statue. And Rocky is used to getting 10 to 30 visitors per hour, usually from early in the morning till like 2 o'clock in the morning, 7 days a week. So Rocky's feeling very lonely right now. So I hope you'll come visit us. Well, we have a bunch of questions that are being asked today, and I'm excited to tackle those questions and interact with all of you. The first question comes from Edward Morgan. Edward asks, I only have a basic understanding of blockchain, so I'd like to know how it could best be implemented to improve the operations of a Shopify-based e-commerce business like the two that I run. My business is in New Zealand with a largely domestic customer base, and my supplies come from China and Belgium. I run a B2B and B2C business models. I'm essentially a middleman. I have to be honest here. I really don't know a lot about blockchain. I'm not an expert in that particular area. And if I were you, I would reach out to someone with blockchain. I have worked with blockchain and have worked with customers with blockchain. And frankly, blockchain basically allows you to leverage lots of other computing power. And one of the major values of blockchain is that the system never goes down. That if your computer goes down and it's hooked up to other computers and your data is located, it will be located in more than one particular place. So that's kind of the beauty of blockchain. But that being said, in something so specialized as blockchain, the best thing for you to do is go and find an expert who's built these systems, not one, not two, but many systems, and can help give you good advice on that. And I know there are LinkedIn groups that focus solely on blockchain. So I would look those up and ask those groups for advice on that particular area. I'm sorry I can't be more helpful there, but if you needed me to look up someone, just reach out to Sean and I could try to make an introduction for you with people that I know who've gotten involved with blockchain. The second question is also from Edward Morgan. Edward asks, with my e-commerce business, one of the main issues I have with scaling is having ever-increasing amounts of capital tied up in stock, which often leaves little to spend elsewhere in the business. Are there ways to improve cash flow aside from selling more stock more quickly? So there's a couple different ways that you can do this. One way is to ask your vendors for longer terms. So I've worked with companies who've said, instead of paying you on 30 days, I can pay you on 90 or 120 days. I'm willing to pay a little bit more money for that spread out term. But in order for me to sell more of your product, I actually need to have longer time frames to do it because I need to invest that money in real estate, in marketing. So if you could give me that much more time, that would be great to go and be able to do. The other thing is you could go to a bank and get good terms right now because interest rates are so low. Now, if I remember correctly, you're based in New Zealand, and so I don't know New Zealand's rates. But I imagine if you have a growing business there, I think the rates around the world are mostly the same. They're, in the low single digits. I would go to a bank and see what kind of terms that I could get there. And either you could borrow money for the inventory and pay that over a period of time, or you could buy the money to use for marketing and have that available so you can grow the business. There also may be some of your vendors who could give you just-in-time shipping, but that would probably increase your costs, which would shrink your margin or make you have to increase your prices, which may. So I think the two best things for you to do is ask for longer terms from the vendors because They have a vested interest in your success, especially if if the money that you're making is not going into your pocket, but going into marketing. That would basically help. The next question is from Francesca, and I hope I'm not going to butcher your last name, Nicasio. Francesca asks, my question is about maintaining and increasing profit margins when hiring outsourcing. I typically charge $500 per article. Now, Francesca runs a copywriting service. And if I were to outsource this, I would have to pay $200 to $400 for someone to write it. I'm grappling with losing my profits by doing this and wanted to get your take on what levers to tinker with. Should I raise my rates, even if high and already? Try to find people who can do the work at a lower cost, or make up for lower profits by increasing sales volume and prioritize? Or is there another thing I could be doing that's not included in the above? First of all, I don't think it's a good idea to lower your prices if you're getting people to pay the prices that you're charging. It sounds to me you're so busy that you need to bring more people on, so the quality of the work must be really good. So there are a couple of different things that you could do here. One is you could hire retirees who taught English or were writers, and they are looking for things to do, extra money to make while they're in retirement. So that might be a good group of people to go after, and that they could do the copywriting as well. The other group to go to are college students who are lit majors at great schools, at elite schools in your region or throughout the country, because you're able to connect to them on the internet. And say you're looking for the top 10 best writers in the country and have them submit their writing. You could ask them to give them examples of things that you're looking for. You could test them over a period of time and then start integrating them in. I am willing to bet that any college student would be thrilled to make $25 an hour, or let's say 20-30% of the project if you charge a flat rate. I don't know your rate, but let's assume that your rate is $500 a project. You could probably get a college student to be thrilled to do this for $50 to $100 just for the experience and for the extra money. So it would be retirees and college students that I would go after. There's also people who do this overseas, and their writing skills sometimes are pretty great, even if English isn't their first language, because a lot of times what you find with people where English isn't their first language, they're very technically skilled at writing. They are very good at the mechanics of it. But again, my first choice would definitely be going with somebody who's a retiree who wants to make extra money, or a college student who has great writing skills. Our next question is from Deanna Markel. Deanna asks, if I have a very busy laser spa business. We have many forms for people to fill out before their first appointment. We need a medical history form and consents normally before they get treated. Do you have a recommendation for any program or software where we can send it to them? They can fill it out on their phone or computer, and it automatically gets sent back to us. It would be such a time saver to have them all fill out beforehand, and then we can have a chart ready to go when they come in. Well, first of all, I don't know of any common app in this area. In fact, I'm building a common app in the financial services area and the business acquisition area. So maybe this is something my company should tackle next. But there are plenty of app builders online that you could go and build your own app and put it with your own website. And when they go on, they could go and fill that out. The other thing that you could do is you could use something like SurveyMonkey. I've done this. You put all the questions together and you just send the link, and then they fill it out. And the beautiful thing about SurveyMonkey is that every time they fill out this information, it falls into a database with everybody else who fill out the information. And if you use something like SurveyMonkey to go and do this, all of a sudden you can start collecting information and take that information and use it for marketing. So if there's 100 patients that fill out this information and you find out they're 80% are women, they're between the ages of 21 and 35, they live in a certain geographic area, all of that information is going to be really valuable to you from a marketing perspective and knowing who your customer is. And if they come in for certain types of treatments, then you know that 70% of the treatments are this, or 20% are this, or there are treatments that people never use that they didn't even know that you have available to you. So I would suggest getting a SurveyMonkey membership, which is less than $300 a year, which there's no developer who will develop this for you for less than $300 a year, and start with that first. And that way you can collect all that information. But there's no app, no company I know that develops a common app for your industry. But again, I really think it'd be much less expensive for you to just use SurveyMonkey and have it as a link to your website, or send it out as an email link when you welcome a customer, and let them fill out all the information, and you'll have it when they arrive. Our next question comes from Elisa Tombiazzi. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I'm asking, in the process of having my website built, I'm having a hard time deciding if I should have the pricing for my services on my website, or if I should have the option to schedule a consult first and only discuss it on the consultation. So let me answer this question first. If this is something that you're offering that's common and there's a common price that people are used to paying, then you could put the amount that you're charging. But let's say that your industry typically doesn't do that. Like lawyers don't put their prices on their website. Accountants don't put their prices on their website. Insurance brokers don't do it. Business plan writers don't do that. Because what you want to do is develop a relationship with the person first, and then determine their needs, and then give them a price based on that. Because a lot of times if you put your price up there first, they just go price shopping, and then they're looking to see who's going to give them the best deal. But you might be more efficient in some way. Like when I write business plans, I typically charge $10,000 to $15,000 to write a business plan. But I'm a very efficient business plan writer, and I charge one set fee to do it. And I provide a lot of information when I'm developing. I develop all the financials, I do everything. So it all depends on what you're offering, and if it's unique, and if it takes some explaining, and that you're trying to not, you don't want customers who just pick you for the price. You want them to pick you because you are the best, most efficient, and they'll get the greatest value. So I would say let's not put the price on there unless it's the industry standard. Also on here, you ask, if possible, I would like to attract clients who can afford my services, but I do not want people to get intimidated by my pricing before they understand everything I have to offer and the value of my services. So one of the things that you could also do on your website is give them an idea of everything they're going to get from you when you go and do it. So again, using my example of business plan, I tell people I do all the market research. I do all the marketing strategy. I do all the sales strategy. I do the 5-year financial projections with great detail, and I will send you examples of my work so you can see if this is what you're really looking for. So that way you can go and show them the great value that they're going to get in doing it, and also show them different benefits. Like I have a company consultancy called Stress Free Family Business, and I tell them you get videos of interviews with other with family businesses I talk to you. You get spreadsheets they can use for your own financial modeling. You get articles every week on other family businesses. So I provide additional value beyond the consulting. So think about the additional value that you could also provide. Adam Komorowski, that's correct, asked this question. Has anyone bought a local email list from a company? If so, what are the key points to look for when dealing with companies that sell this? Also, what email softwares did you use, or is this just not worthwhile? So I've bought email lists forever, for the past 30 years. One of the things that you look for in these email lists is how often they scrub their list. So if someone is selling you a list of 100,000 people for $500, you know that that list has not been scrubbed very recently, because typically what list brokers charge you is about 50 cents a name to give you the name of the person, the business, the address, the telephone number, most importantly, the email address. If you don't want the email address, that drops the price significantly. But if you're looking for the email address, you're going to go and pay around 50 cents a person to get it. And if you were looking for online databases to go and use, I would suggest Info USA and Hoover's. Those have been around forever. They scrub their list pretty frequently. But the scrubbing of the list is really important, because if they only scrub the list once a year, or especially once every couple of years, not very good, because things are in a constant state of change. The other thing that you want to do when you are looking at these companies is you want to find out that what percentage of bad emails will they replace. So I've hired companies before, and I get in my contract that whatever bad emails that I get, they'll go and replace those with other emails. So if I get 10% of the list is bad, they replace the 10%. If they won't replace those, then go on to somebody who will, because it's not right for you to go and pay and find out that 25% of the list is bad. So that's one of the things that you want to go and do. But yes, it's worthwhile if you're doing an email blast campaign. Now, remember, one of the things that's important is if you're doing those campaigns, don't use your email. Create multiple other emails, because a lot of times other systems will shut you down. They will stop taking your emails. They'll throw it automatically into spam. And you really don't want to send out more than 100 emails at a time when you're doing this. But if you're not thinking of doing email blast, then don't even worry about that. But again, if you are doing email blast, and a lot of the stuff that I do requires email blast, if I buy a list of a couple thousand, I might have 5 different email addresses that I'm sending from using Gmail, sending those emails out, usually not more than 3 paragraphs. Typically, I try to make it to a paragraph with a link to what I'm trying to get them to read, and go with that. Stella Nazajek asked, I really need to work on my ability to pronounce people's last names or get phonetic spellings for these, right? Last week, I've arranged a cooperation with an outdoor booty class in Munich. I have sponsored them with 25 bands. In return, I will get weekly posts, stories, and product videos on Instagram. I will also provide a discount code of 10% for their customers throughout my web shop. Guys texted me yesterday asking if I'd be willing to share commission on all sales that they make directly after the class. How do I respond to this, or how do I make this cost effective? I was thinking about giving them a commission if they reach a certain amount of sales, but I am unsure of how to do this properly. Give me some thoughts on this. First of all, I think it's great that these guys want to resell your product. It really says that you have a product that they think will easily sell, because nobody wants to sell anything that's hard. They think it's an easy way to make a lot of money, and so they're asking, hey, I want to get a piece of the action here. So what I would suggest you do is you take a look at your margins and determine what you can afford to do. So let's say that your margins are 50%. And if they go and give a code that the buyer gets maybe a 10% discount, because they're going to want some kind of discount if their trainer is suggesting this, and then giving the trainer another 10%. So instead of 20% discount for the buyer, you should give 20%, but 10% going to the trainer, 10% going to the buyer of the product. Now remember, you want to encourage these people to constantly mention your brand and your products, and the more you can sell, the better. So you want to get volumes. So maybe you start them out as a 10%, but they can work themselves up to 20 or 25%, but you're going to be making that much more money. Again, you have to take a look at the margins that you have in these products and then determine what you can afford to do. But if you try to give them a commission that they only get it if they sell so much, think about it yourself. It's a total non-starter. Why would you put any effort into this? Now, if they see your product is selling and they know other people offer a similar product and those people will give them a commission, they're going to dump you and go with somebody else. So you want to do everything you can to foster that relationship. Steve Jobs made this very big mistake in the beginning of Apple when he wouldn't license his operating system to other people. And he realized after he almost sunk Apple that that was a huge mistake, and Microsoft licensed their operating system to everybody. So everybody was making money. At the end of the day, you want as many partners and people making money with you as you can possibly get, because it's certainly better to get a small piece of a very large pie than a piece of a very small pie, especially if the amounts of sales that are coming in will make you that much more money. So remember, it's a great thing that people want to actually sell your product. That's a blessing, because very few people are lucky enough that others would like to go and sell their product and believe in it so much. So take good care of these people. The last question I have is from Aaron Sheeks. Aaron writes, need advice. We have a sellable software tool that has a current revenue coming in. While we're slowly making development updates, we're not building as fast as we can sell the product, and we're waiting for updates to tie together a few data sources. Question, do we continue to wait and scale responsibly, knowing $50,000 a month is coming in August and September? Or while the market is still coming back from COVID shutdowns, do we costs now to have our product closer to finish by August and September? Also, redesign is part of the upgrades. Thanks for the feedback. So my feedback on this is simple. If you're getting a high demand for this product, and you should put all the resources you can now into getting that product done, even if you guys are working 70, 80, 100 hours a week, because while the iron is hot, that's the time to take advantage of it, because things could change quickly where other competitors could come in. So if people are dying for your product now, get the best possible product to them. And even if there has to be updates to fix some of the mistakes that you've made, as long as it's working for the most part, that's how Microsoft built their empire. That is how other great software companies have done it. They wait till the product was perfect. They wait till it was functioning enough that people could get good value, and that they would send patches to go and fix these things. The people who wait for perfection miss the opportunity totally, and other people come in and take their place. I've seen it happen over and over again with people who are so fanatical at only making sure that everything is perfect that somebody else comes in. And once somebody comes in and and somebody is using them on their platform, it's very hard to dislodge them. People were saying, well, they'll send fixes to it. You know, it works fine for what we need it for, and these fixes will be just fine. They're not going to go with themselves and wait for something perfect. As long as your product is able to do what they need to do right now, and they know you're going to constantly upgrade you and stay with you. Well, I'm Marc Kramer. I appreciate being with you this morning. I look forward to answering questions further in a couple of weeks. Have a great rest of your day and take the time to enjoy the beautiful weather. Summer is a very short season for all of us, and it's so beautiful out there that you should be getting out, riding bikes, running, doing whatever you can outside, sitting outside. My bulldog and I, we love to sit in the park in the shade. She lays there like she does all day in the apartment, and she loves to lay there, and I like to sit there and read. Have a great day and a great weekend.